baby Mabel wails against her chest, tiny face red with effort, little fists clenched in hunger. It's been hours since her last bottle, and Alex's heart clenches with every desperate cry. "Will you stop that child from crying?" The elderly woman's voice cuts through the supermarket din, dripping with judgment. "She's crying? I hadn't noticed," Alex Baker replies, saccharine sweetness masking panic. "She's probably expressing existential dread about the rising cost of formula." The formula sits on the top shelf, of course it does, because the universe has a personal vendetta against single guardians under 5'5". Alex stretches, fingers grazing the can before knocking it further back. People are staring. A toddler points. The elderly woman sniffs disapprovingly. Sweat beads on Alex's forehead as panic rises in her throat. "I promised your mom," Alex whispers to Mabel, desperation cracking her voice. "I promised Jenna you'd never go hungry, not on my watch." The memory flashes, hospital lights, Jenna's pale face, her sister's fingers gripping hers with surprising strength. Take care of her, Alex. Then flatline, then silence, then responsibility thrust upon the family screw-up. With the help of a borrowed mop handle and what remains of her dignity, Alex secures the formula and hurries to checkout, juggling baby, can, and phone. Mabel's cries have become whimpers of exhaustion, which somehow feels worse. $8.47 in her account. Formula, $27.99. And her night cleaning job, the one she earned by scrubbing the immaculate offices of Warden Enterprises, wouldn't pay for another 3 weeks. Alex stares at her phone, pride and desperation warring inside her. She owes her best friend James Walls too many favors already, and she hates asking for money. Hates the way it makes her stomach twist, the way it confirms what her parents always said, that she'd never amount to anything, never stand on her own feet. But Mabel's whimpers cut through her pride like a knife. This isn't about her ego. This is about a hungry baby who depends on her. "Sorry, Dignity," she mutters, pulling up her contacts. "You're less important than formula." "Emergency," her text reads. "Need $20 for baby's tummy. Will totally repay when not destitute." She adds 3 yellow hearts and the prayer hands emoji, trying to mask her embarrassment with forced cheerfulness, and hits send just as the man behind her clears his throat pointedly. In retrospect, if not for him, Alex might have noticed selecting the wrong contact. But the man did clear his throat, and Alex made a mistake which would change her life forever. "Some of us have places to be," the man says. "Your quest for microwaved burritos and loneliness has been duly noted," Alex retorts, bouncing Mabel with increasing desperation before a ping wrenches her attention back to her phone. "There you go," the message reads. "Haha, success," Alex cries in triumph, relief flooding her system as she holds her phone out to buzz her virtual card. Which is when she sees where her new bank balance stands. From $8, she's now gone to $808. Alex shakes her head, dismissing it as an error. She pays, gathers Mabel, her bags, and runs out to check her phone again. Then she freezes because next to the transfer received details is the name, James Warden. Which is simply impossible. Clearly a cosmic joke for the universe because James Warden is her CEO, billionaire boss whose office she cleans at nights. The man whose name appears on the building, whose stoic, forbidding face graces business magazines. Who makes more in a minute than she makes in a month, and who never in her life has she once seen smile. Alex laughs nervously, then she gasps. She remembers now that mandatory company-wide emergency contact update from HR last month. She'd saved his work number from the email, thinking it was hilarious to have the CEO in her contacts. What an idiot. With mounting panic, she flicks through her text messages and yelps, hand to mouth. The evidence is irrefutable. She had sent her cry for help, not to James Walsey Walls, her best friend, but to James frickin' Warden, her billionaire boss. Alex wants to die. She wishes she could erase herself from the planet as she reads his message one more time. There you go. Nothing else. Just the $800 she had never asked him for. Chapter 1. That's him. Alex freezes mid-mop stroke, following her coworker Tina's subtle nod toward the elevator. James Warden strides across the lobby, surrounded by executives hanging on his every word. Perfect, Alex whispers. I'll just go thank him for the money. Are you insane? Tina hisses, ducking behind a potted plant. You can't just walk up to James Warden. Look at him. He's, well, James Warden. Alex sighs. She'd spent all morning debating how to approach her accidental benefactor. A text felt too casual, an email too formal, and showing up at his office seemed like a good way to get escorted out by security. He's just a person, she says with an eye roll. A person with no life who's still here in the office at 9 p.m. A person who could buy and sell your entire existence with his lunch money, Tina whispers. As the CEO disappears into a conference room, Alex decides she'll try it again when the office clears. The executive floor is always eerily silent at 1 a.m. when she's finally allowed there to clean. And James Warden is usually the only one still at his desk by then. And just as planned, as she approaches Warden's corner office that very night, light spills from under the door. Only problem is that Alex's hands suddenly feel clammy. What if he thinks she's stalking him and calls security? Just write a note, she mutters, pulling a post-it from a random desk. But what could she possibly say? Thanks for the cash injection, Mr. Billionaire, sir? She crumples the sticky note. A man who reportedly fired an executive for wearing brown shoes doesn't need her awkward gratitude scribbled on office stationery. Taking a deep breath, Alex knocks lightly on his door. No response. She knocks again, slightly louder. Still nothing. Steeling herself, she pushes the door open. Mr. Warden, I just wanted to... The words die in her throat. Because James Warden, the unapproachable titan of industry, the man whose mere presence makes seasoned executives nervous, is fast asleep at his desk. Alex almost backs away. This feels like stumbling upon a unicorn flossing its teeth. Too intimate, too impossible to witness. James Warden looks almost peaceful with the strong line of his jaw now relaxed in sleep. James Warden's white shirt sleeves have been rolled up to reveal surprisingly muscular forearms. James Warden has unusual long eyelashes. Alex clears her throat. Mr. Warden, she whispers, approaching cautiously. Nothing. She's been invisible to this man for 8 months, emptying his trash, dusting his awards, wiping coffee rings from his desk. Now she is standing so close she can see the faint scar near his right eyebrow, and she feels strangely powerful. Mr. Warden, she tries again, slightly louder. Still nothing. After another moment's hesitation, she reaches out, gently touching his arm. The effect is immediate. The man jolts awake, blue eyes flying open, and immediately recoils from her touch. Who are you? He asks. What are you doing in my office? The question stings, a reminder of her invisibility. I'm Alex Baker, the night cleaner. I wanted to thank you for the money. She steps back, hands raised defensively. But look, sir, if this is some weird power thing where you expect favors, I should clarify I don't do that kind of... Favors? Mr. Warden stands, closing the uppermost button of his jacket. For the money, Alex clarifies. I appreciate you feeding my kid and all, but I'm not about to climb into your bed if that's what you were after. Oh, understanding dawns across the man's face. You're the night cleaner who texted me about a hungry baby. Alex flushes at the memory. It was an accident, Funny story, actually. She interrupts herself, her carefully prepared speech shredding into tatters under the scrutiny of his searing blue eyes. Yes, Mr. Warden. She takes a visible breath and tries again. But I only asked for $20, not $800. Mr. Warden straightens, composure returned. The message mentioned a hungry child. I assumed it was an emergency. It was. Alex jumps in, but then there's no issue. He smooths his tie, voice dispassionate. Consider it an advance on your salary. Alex frowns. That's actually quite decent of you, she admits, studying him. I'm sorry I assumed the worst. A flash of something, surprise, crosses his face before the mask returns. It's fine. Now if you'll excuse me. No, seriously. Alex steps forward. Thanks, man. Mabel, my niece, she needed formula and I was completely broke and you just helped. Without thinking, she places her hand on his forearm, a simple human gesture of connection. The change is instant. One moment she's touching warm skin, the next. James Warden transforms before her eyes, clothes tearing, desk items scattering as his form expands and shifts. The sound is strange, not painful groaning, but something like static electricity magnified, a crackling energy that raises the hair on her arms. And then, instead of a man, a massive wolf stands before her. Alex stumbles backward, knocking over a side table. What the heck? She shrieks, back pressed against the wall. The wolf looks just as startled as she feels, ears flattened against his head, body frozen in apparent alarm. They stare at each other, human and wolf, as the world Alex knew, of cleaning jobs and struggling to get by, suddenly shatters into something unrecognizable. This, Alex whispers, heart hammering against her ribs, is definitely not covered in the employee handbook. Chapter 2. Alex's back presses against the wall, heart pounding loud enough for the wolf to hear it. An actual wolf, standing in James Warden's office, wearing James Warden's intense blue eyes. He's massive, silver and charcoal gray, front paws on the desk, papers scattered beneath them. His ears are flattened, body tense, ready to spring. Except there's nowhere to go. She's blocking the door. The windows don't open. They're 22 floors up. He's trapped. They're trapped. Can you understand me? Alex whispers. Blink twice if you can understand what I'm saying. The wolf stares, then blinks. Once, twice. Holy crap, she breathes. For the first time in her life, Alex is speechless. The wolf's ears swivel toward her, tracking her heartbeat. Those familiar eyes watch her, wary, but something else too. Fear. He might be part human, but right now he's all animal. And cornered animals either flee or fight. Alex eyes his claws and clears her throat. So, she manages, I'm guessing this isn't some extreme corporate wellness transformation program? The wolf huffs, offended. It's okay, she says softly, taking a careful step forward. I'm not going to scream or call animal control or anything. The tension shifts, still wary, but now he's assessing her, not panicking. Can I? She extends a hand, slow and open. I've never met a werewolf before. He backs up, hackles rising, scattering more papers across the desk. Claws scratch faintly against wood. Hey, it's okay, she murmurs. I'm not going to hurt you, and I'm not going to tell anyone. Who would believe me anyway? The CEO turns furry when you touch him. I'd be in a psych ward before I finish the sentence. Something in her voice calms him. His breathing steadies, hackles lower. That's it, she encourages, stepping forward. He watches her, alert but calmer. At 5 feet away, He growls low. She crouches, making herself smaller. The growl shifts, almost a snort. "It's okay," she says, holding out her hand, palm up. He approaches slowly, nostrils flaring. His massive head could reach her shoulder if she stood. His fur gleams silver in the dim light. "You're beautiful," she whispers, before she can stop herself. She clears her throat. "I mean objectively, as wolves go. Not that I've met many wolves, or any. Still, though." The wolf pauses. His blue eyes widen slightly. Then, astonishingly, he lowers his head and gently presses his muzzle to her hand. The touch is electric. Warm fur brushes her skin. Then, just as suddenly, the wolf jerks back. The moment breaks. With a ripple, like heat over pavement, fur gives way to skin. The transformation reverses. "Oh my God!" Alex claps her hands over her eyes, then peeks through them. James Warden stands there, naked, furious, vulnerable. "You're naked!" she yelps. "That's worse than the wolf thing." Though, is it? Apparently, James Warden doesn't just wear expensive suits. He fills them out like a Greek god. Her thoughts short-circuit. "Stop it, Alex." A flush rises on his chest. Embarrassment? Rage? Wordless, he strides to the wall and presses a wood panel. It slides open to reveal a closet of identical suits. "You have a secret suit compartment?" "Of course you do," Alex says, staring at the ceiling. "I always wondered why you had so many identical outfits. I thought maybe you were colorblind. Are you colorblind? Maybe wolves are..." James glares. "Not colorblind? Gotcha," she blurts. "That's cool. Maybe you just hate making decisions about clothes." She can't stop rambling. The intimacy of the moment, seeing him shift, seeing him naked, watching him dress. It's overwhelming. James dresses quickly, precise as always, though his hands tremble. She notices for the first time, he's not flawless. The cufflinks give him trouble. "Here," she says, stepping forward. "Let me help with that." James freezes, eyes sharp. "Don't touch me." Alex stops, hands raised. "Sorry." He fumbles with the cufflinks, jaw tight, a muscle twitching in his cheek. Then he sighs. "If you touch me, I'll transform back," he says, reluctant. Alex blinks. "Wait, what?" Her brain rewinds. Right before he changed, she touched his arm. "You mean human contact turns you into a..." "No, not..." James cuts in, frustrated. "It's not human contact, it's contact with members of the opposite sex, to be more precise." Alex frowns. "Are you saying, like, whenever a girl touches you, you instantly become a wolf?" "That about sums it up, yes." "But so, how were you born?" Alex blurts. "Did you come out as a wolf, or..." "No," James snaps. "I wasn't born with the curse. I was in my 20s when it was cast." "A curse?" Alex blinks. "But how? When? Why?" When he doesn't answer, she adds, "And you were in your early 20s then? When you first changed into a wolf?" James sighs. "I could already change into a wolf at the time," he says. "I'm a shifter." A shifter. So the curse didn't make him a wolf. "You mean you could shift whenever you wanted before the curse, but now you shift when a girl touches you?" He shrugs, straightening his tie, composure returning. "I assume I can trust your discretion regarding what you've seen tonight," he says. It's phrased as a statement, but clearly a question. Alex studies him, his trembling fingers, the sweat at his temples. He's terrified. "You can trust me," she says, voice soft. "I wouldn't tell anyone." His expression flickers. Surprise, suspicion, relief. "Most people run," he mutters. "Most people are boring," Alex replies with a shrug. The corner of his mouth twitches. Barely, but enough to thrill her. She takes a tentative step forward. "So, who did this to you? This curse? And why? Can it be broken? Who else?" "Ms. Baker," he interrupts. "I understand this is unusual, but perhaps we could limit the interrogation." "Right. Sorry." She fidgets with her shirt hem. Silence stretches. Then, "What's it like being a wolf?" He studies her. Something unreadable in his eyes. "Look, Mr. Warden," she adds, "I get that this is huge. Your secret is safe with me, I promise." James opens his mouth to respond when the office door swings open. A woman enters, early 40s, impeccable, terrifying. Evelyn Warden, James's sister, and probably the only person in this city scarier than he is. "I thought you'd gone home hours ago," she says to James. Her eyes land on Alex, cool and sharp. "Why is the help in your office while you're still here?" James straightens. "Evelyn," his voice is steady, "Ms. Baker was just finishing up, a coffee mishap earlier." Alex watches as he casually moves a torn scrap of fabric under his desk with his foot. "Well, don't let me interrupt." Evelyn's gaze narrows. "Though, about tomorrow's investor meeting." "I'm prepared," James cuts in. Tension crackles between them. Alex stands awkwardly, wondering why he hasn't told his sister about what just happened. Surely Evelyn knows she can't touch her own brother without triggering this. "I should get going," Alex says. "Lots of cleaning to do." She wheels her card out fast, heart pounding. "What was that about?" she hears Evelyn ask. James's reply is muffled as the door shuts behind her. One thing's for sure, her boring night job just got a lot more interesting. Chapter 3. Alex wakes to sunlight streaming through the crooked blinds and Mabel's cheerful babbling, and someone knocking on her door. "1 second," Alex calls, hastily securing Mabel's diaper and scooping her up. The knocking continues, more insistent. "I said I'm coming, hold your—" Alex swings the door open and her words die in her throat. James Warden is standing in her doorway. Immaculate in a navy suit that probably costs more than her annual rent, not a hair out of place, radiating authority and control. And he's in her doorway. At 6:47 a.m. "Miss Baker," he says. "How the heck do you know where I live?" Alex blurts, clutching Mabel closer. "May I come in?" he asks instead of answering. James steps inside, surveying the cramped one-bedroom with an unreadable expression. "You sleep on the couch?" he observes. His gaze sweeps over the fold-out couch that serves as Alex's bed, the makeshift baby area cordoned off with furniture, the dishes piled in the sink. "It's a good couch." Alex shifts uncomfortably. "Why are you here?" James's eyes land on the baby in her arms. Mabel stares back, unusually solemn. "We need to discuss last night," James announces. "At dawn?" Alex sighs. "I prefer to address problems immediately." "So I'm a problem then, am I?" Alex asks, raising an eyebrow. "You think I'm going to tell the world that women literally make you wild?" "This isn't a joke," he snaps. "I'm not laughing," Alex retorts, "but showing up at my apartment at the crack of dawn feels a little—" James's eyes narrow slightly. "You were terminated from one of your employments this week." He comments, too casually, "for insubordination." The statement blindsides her. It wasn't insubordination. Some guy kept ranting about his wife's parakeet, so then I said to him, "Sir, this is a Wendy's, not a therapist's office," and he just— "But this wasn't the first time you were fired from a job, though, was it?" James interrupts. 6 jobs in 8 months, all terminated for similar reasons. Doesn't follow protocol. Challenges authority unnecessarily. Creative to a disruptive degree. Heat floods Alex's face. So I get bored easily, so what? She scowls. You're impulsive, unpredictable, and you don't respect boundaries, Mr. Warden concludes. Says the man standing in my apartment at 6 a.m. with my personnel file practically memorized. Mr. Warden regards her steadily, unfazed by her outburst. I'd like to offer you a job, he says. Alex freezes, her witty comeback dying in her throat. A job? She repeats. As my personal assistant, he says. Alex barks a laugh. Right, very funny. Your employment history suggests you're intelligent, but chronically understimulated. He continues with clinical precision. You require mental challenges and resist arbitrary constraints. You also, Mr. Warden glances pointedly around the apartment, need financial stability. The assessment is so accurate, it stings. This isn't a job offer, is it? Alex sets Mabel down in her playpen. It's a bribe. He pauses before nodding. Pretty much, yes. Well, you've got some nerves, mister. Alex stomps her foot. Just because I sleep on a couch doesn't mean I have no dignity? You think you can just throw money at me and... The position pays $95,000 annually plus benefits. Full health insurance, including pediatric dental. His gaze shifts briefly to Mabel, and an immediate signing bonus of $10,000. Alex's jaw drop. Are you for real right now? She exclaims. That kind of money would transform their lives. A real apartment, quality daycare for Mabel, maybe even starting a college fund. I'm offering you an opportunity, Ms. Baker. James attempts. And your financial situation suggests you can't afford to refuse. This apartment isn't safe for a child, he observes. The building failed 3 safety inspections last year. Thank you for that insight, Captain Obvious. Alex mutters. Some of us can't afford. My offer would change that. You really don't understand how offensive this is, do you? Alex snaps. You're basically saying, take this job or keep living in squalor, you poor thing. I'm saying I recognize talent when I see it, even in unconventional packages. James straightens his already perfect tie. Oh, come on! Alex rolls her eyes. You don't know anything about me. I know you've been raising your niece alone since your sister died in childbirth 6 months ago. I know you work 3 jobs to make ends meet. His gaze is unflinching. I know you deserve better than this. Alex looks down at Mabel, blissfully unaware of the adult complexity swirling around her. Fine, she forces out. I accept, but only because I can't afford to say no right now. I'll have HR prepare the paperwork with appropriate confidentiality clauses. They stare at each other, an odd tension settling between them. Want to shake hands on it? Alex quips. James narrows his eyes. Since we are going to be working together, I think it would be wise for you to... It was a joke! Alex rolls her eyes. Door's right over there, don't let me keep you. Chapter 4. 3 weeks into her new job, Alex has come to a startling conclusion. James Warden, CEO of Warden Enterprises, secret werewolf, and possibly the most boring human alive, has hired her to do absolutely nothing. Literally, nothing. She has an office. She has a desk. She has a company laptop that she primarily uses to play online Scrabble. What she doesn't have is actual work. Day 15 of my imprisonment in the Tower of Tedium, Alex narrates dramatically. The Werewolf King continues his strategy of ignoring his slave into oblivion. Through the glass wall separating their offices, she can see James on a conference call, his posture perfect, his expression severe. Not once in 15 working days has he asked for her assistance with anything more complex than fetching coffee. It's becoming increasingly clear that her 6-figure salary is essentially hush money. Keep the werewolf secret, stay out of the way, collect the checks. For someone with Alex's restless mind, it's torture. Until one fateful Friday afternoon. Alex is heading out to grab lunch when she notices James in the main hallway with a group of executives, clearly wrapping up a meeting. Her attention is immediately caught by an elegant older woman with striking silver hair. That's Elaine Northstar. From that big deal Northstar merger, which has been all over the financial news for weeks. Alex watches the lady of the hour, the woman James has been working on getting along with for months, extends her hand toward him, clearly preparing for a departing handshake. Oh, crap. Without thinking, Alex hurries forward. "Mr. Warden," she calls, waving as if he'd been looking for her. "Sorry to interrupt, but Tokyo is on line 2. They're insistent about that contract specifications." "Wait, is that Miss Northstar?" Alex smoothly slid in between them, grabbing her still extended hand in her own. "I'm such an admirer of your work," Alex gushes. "Your keynote at the Women in Leadership Summit was revolutionary." Ms. Northstar smiles politely. "Thank you, Ms. Baker, Alexandra Baker." She smiles brightly. "I couldn't pass up the chance to meet the woman who wrote that amazing article in Forbes last month. Your insights on adaptive leadership strategies were brilliant." "How kind of you to say," Ms. Northstar replies, her stern expression softening slightly. "Ms. Northstar, your car's waiting," an assistant announces. "Of course, it was lovely meeting you both," Ms. Northstar says. "Mr. Warden, I look forward to our partnership." Alex maintains her position until the Northstar group disappears into the elevator. Only then does she step away from James, allowing herself a small sigh of relief. "Tokyo isn't on line 2, is it?" James asks quietly. "Nah, line 2 is actually the pizza place down the street. I have them on speed dial." Alex grins. James glances around to ensure they're alone. "Thank you for your intervention," he says, almost bashfully. "I appreciate it was efficient." "Wow," Alex says, moving toward the elevator. "High praise from the man who's been treating me like less than potted plant for 3 weeks." "Wait," James says, surprising her. "I mean it, He pauses, searching for his words. "You didn't have to do this," he concludes. The genuine gratitude in his voice catches her off guard. "No problem, boss," she grins. "Consider it my new secret objective. No-touch bodyguard. Catchy job title, right?" As she leaves, she swears she catches the hint of a smile on his face. Not just a twitch this time. An actual, honest-to-goodness almost smile. Chapter 5. A month into her new assignment, Alex discovers she has a real knack for werewolf protection. When a VP of sales tries to pat James's shoulder, she accidentally spills water on him. When a client enthusiastically extends a hand, Alex intercepts. "Mr. Warden is experimenting with traditional Japanese greetings today. Bow, don't touch. Cultural sensitivity training. Very progressive." Honestly, she's being very smooth and discreet about all of this. "Coming through, CEO with personal space issues," Alex announces, carving out a buffer zone. "Respect the bubble, people." James rolls his eyes, which only makes Alex more determined to crack that unflappable exterior. Not out of spite, but because his control feels like a puzzle she's been invited to solve. Every flicker, his barely there eyebrow twitch when she says something absurd, the tightened jaw when he's suppressing a laugh, is cataloged as a small victory. "You know, studies show that people who never smile develop premature wrinkles," she tells him one morning, perching on his desk. "Fascinating," he replies, eyes on his screen. I'll add it to my list of concerns right after the quarterly earnings report and before the board presentation. A little facial exercise wouldn't kill you. Watch. She flashes a grin. See? Easy. He doesn't react, visibly, but she catches the microscopic twitch at his mouth, the James Warden equivalent of a belly laugh. By month 2, Alex has a new reputation, not just as the mysterious janitor turned EA, but as the CEO's right hand. How do you do it? Natalie from accounting asks during lunch. He terrifies everyone else. He's just a person, Alex says, poking at her salad. She definitely doesn't mention the way she watches him when he isn't looking. The way her eyes catch on the strength of his hands, the rare softness in his expression when something genuinely amuses him. Those moments stay locked away where they can't cause trouble. So when James asks for her opinion on something unrelated to werewolf protection, she nearly falls off her chair. The Tokyo proposal, he says, sliding a folder across his desk. What do you think? About the colors of the presentation folders? About the expansion strategy? There's something new in his eyes. You have an unconventional perspective. I'd like to hear it. She spends 20 minutes dissecting the proposal, expecting dismissal. Instead, he listens, fully, asks questions, pushes her thinking. When she's done, he nods. I'll have the team revise their approach. No explanation, no acknowledgement of the shift. But from that moment on, he keeps asking. Personnel decisions, marketing plans. Within weeks, she's sitting in on executive meetings. And others begin to notice. They're calling you Beauty and the Beast in the break room, Natalie informs her, though no one can agree which of you is which. Alex rolls her eyes, but the word beauty sends a flutter through her chest. In month 3, a folder appears on her desk, brochures for exclusive daycares, each with a handwritten note on strengths and security. What's this? She asks, stepping into James's office. You mentioned Mabel's childcare situation was problematic, he says. I made some inquiries. Some inquiries? These places have 2-year waiting lists. I was persuasive. It's unexpected, thoughtful, quietly generous. Thank you, she says. He nods and returns to work, but something shifts. Another tremor beneath the surface of their professional facade. By month 4, James relies on her, for more than logistics. One evening, she overhears a tense phone call. When he hangs up, she pretends to be focused on her report. The board wants to restructure the Eastern Division, he says. Okay, Alex says. It would mean layoffs, significant ones. His posture is rigid. He's bothered. What do you think? He asks. The question lands heavily, not because he's asking, he's done that before, but because of what he's asking. I think, she says slowly, that sometimes the human cost outweighs the financial benefit. He nods, deep in thought. The next day, she learns he proposed an alternative to preserve jobs. That's when she understands. Her voice carries weight, and with it, a responsibility she hadn't expected. Then comes the most unexpected shift of all, James in her apartment. It starts as necessity, a burst pipe, an emergency relocation. But it becomes routine. Late-night strategy sessions while Mabel sleeps. Takeout on the kitchen table, spreadsheets on the living room floor. He should look out of place in this chaos. He doesn't. Here, he softens, rolls up his sleeves, removes his tie, leans into the furniture like he's learning how to belong. When Mabel toddles into the room one evening, Alex braces for awkwardness. But James greets her with a nod, calmly moves paperwork from curious hands, and retrieves a fallen pacifier without blinking. Later, after a grueling budget negotiation, Alex opens a bottle of wine. "You look like you need this," she says. "Even werewolf CEOs deserve to unwind." He sips once, sets it aside. His shoulders stay tense. "They're idiots," she declares, flopping beside him. "That sustainability initiative will save millions." "The board prefers immediate returns," he mutters. The board wouldn't recognize long-term strategy if it bit them on their collective behinds. His mouth twitches. "An interesting visual." "I'm full of those. Right now I'm picturing you actually relaxing. It's wild." He shoots her a look. "I am perfectly capable of relaxation." "Uh-huh. That's why you're sitting like you swallowed a broomstick." "My posture is unnatural," Alex points out. "Your spine's crying for help." He sighs, but she watches as he deliberately leans back into the couch. Satisfied? Getting there, Alex smirks. "Now try moving your face muscles into an expression." And then it happens. Maybe it's the late hour. Maybe it's the months of quiet unraveling. But James Warden smiles, a real, full smile. One that reshapes his entire face, softens everything. Alex's heart skips. This isn't just a win. It's not just cracking his armor. It's something else. Warm, fluttery, dangerous. This wasn't about the challenge, she realizes. It wasn't about the job. It was him. Oh crap, she thinks. I have a crush on my werewolf boss. Chapter 6. This is not happening. Absolutely not. Alex stares at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, toothbrush suspended mid-scrub. "You cannot have a crush on your billionaire werewolf boss," she tells herself firmly. She spits into the sink, rinsing more aggressively than necessary. "He's not even your type. You like fun guys. The kind with tattoos and motorcycles who know how to laugh without pulling a muscle. Not emotionally constipated men in designer suits who probably alphabetize their sock drawer. Besides," she continues, pointing her toothbrush accusingly at her reflection, "he's completely uninterested. And so far out of your league, he's practically in another dimension. The man is a CEO. You're a former night cleaner who still can't match her socks. It's ridiculous. Absurd. No more lingering glances. No more private jokes. No more trying to make him laugh just to see that transformation come over his face. Operation No Crush begins today." The morning passes in a blur of meetings and spreadsheets. Alex deliberately buries herself in work, avoiding the usual coffee break when she might run into James. When she spots him in the hallway, she suddenly discovers an urgent need to be elsewhere. It's childish. It's obvious. It's completely necessary for her mental health. By noon, she's congratulating herself on her successful avoidance strategy. 3 hours without thinking about James Warden's rare smile, or the way his voice softens slightly when he's genuinely interested in something. She's deep in concentration over the quarterly reports when Natalie from accounting appears, carrying a large paper bag. "Delivery for you," she announces. "Someone's got an admirer." "What?" Alex peers into the bag, and her heart does a traitorous little flip. Inside is her favorite lunch from the tiny Vietnamese place 6 blocks away, the one with the lemongrass tofu that doesn't deliver. Attached to the bag is a small note card. "You seemed busy this morning. Don't forget to eat. James." Not Mr. Warden, James. Alex catches herself smiling foolishly at the note. "God damn it," she mutters, shoving it into her drawer. How is she supposed to get over this inconvenient attraction when he does thoughtful things like remembering her favorite lunch spot? The avoidance strategy continues for the next 2 days. When James emails requesting her input on a proposal, she responds with bullet points instead of her usual in-person debrief. When he appears at her office door, she suddenly remembers an urgent errand. By the third day, she can tell he's noticed. There's a new tension in his posture when she hurries past his office, a slight furrow in his brow when she makes excuses to avoid their usual end-of-day recap. It's for the best, she tells herself, creating some professional distance. She's in the middle of this self-justification, deliberately reorganizing files that don't need reorganizing, when James appears in her doorway. His posture is rigid even by his standards, left eyebrow twitching slightly, the James Warden equivalent of a 5-alarm panic. Alex immediately forgets all about Operation No Crush. What's wrong? What's the emergency? She's already half standing, mentally reviewing his afternoon schedule. Not here, he says quietly. My office. Once the door closes behind them, James moves to the window, staring out at the city sprawl below. The Northcrest deal is stalling. Alex waits for more, but he remains silent. Okay, and that's a crisis because I've had 3 meetings with Marcus Northcrest. Each one ends with promises to move forward, but nothing materializes. He turns to face her. Evelyn is pushing me to close this deal immediately. The board is getting impatient. So what's the holdup? James runs a hand through his perfectly styled hair. I don't know. On paper, the deal makes perfect sense for both companies. The terms are favorable, the projections are solid, but something's missing. Maybe it's a personality clash, Alex suggests. What's this Northcrest guy like? Unconventional. He's actually another shifter. Alex blinks in surprise. Wait, you mean, like he can transform too? James gives her a look. Yes, but is he cursed? No, but that's crazy. He's always on the news. Her mind races with possibilities. So who else is a shifter? Like famous people, politicians? Is the mayor a werewolf? Oh my God, is Beyoncé? She stops herself, suddenly remembering that she's supposed to be maintaining professional distance. Whatever, she says, her tone cooling. Just keep negotiating. James studies her, something flickering in his eyes that might be confusion or hurt. This deal is critical for our expansion plans. The deadline is approaching, and I've made no progress despite multiple attempts. So what do you want me to do about it? Alex sighs. I don't know. You see things differently. Maybe you can identify what I'm missing, he says carefully. The compliment warms her despite her best efforts to remain detached. Fine, she sighs. Let me do some research. 2 days and several discreet phone calls later, Alex has a clear picture of Northcrest. 3 of his last 5 major deals were signed in upscale bars after midnight. His assistant carries antacids and a spare tie at all times. He's known for saying business only happens when people get real with each other, which apparently involves tequila shots and karaoke. He's essentially the anti-James Warden. You need to change your approach, Alex announces, dropping a folder on James's desk. Take him to a bar, make sure the drinks are flowing, get on his level. James stares at her. Are you joking? He asks, affronted. It's how the guy signs deals, she insists, flipping open the folder to show her research. Look, Hudson Media merger, signed at the Skyline Lounge at 1 a.m. Paragon acquisition, finalized at Whiskey Blue after extensive celebrations. This guy doesn't do boardrooms and PowerPoints. He does shots and handshakes. James straightens, looking genuinely offended. That's not professional, he mutters. God, he's so adorable when he's being stubborn and principled, Alex thinks. The thought ambushes her, breaking through all her careful defenses. Is something wrong with my face? James asks. Alex blinks, realizing she's been staring. Yes, James, she wants to say. Something is wrong. Because when I look at your impossibly beautiful face, I picture us feeding ducks at the pond, holding hands as the sun sets on the horizon. "Nope," she says brightly, backing toward the door. "All good. Nothing unusual happening here. Bye." Alex is halfway back to her desk when Lisa from Human Resources intercepts her, looking grave. "Ms. Warden wants to see you in her office," she says in a low voice. "Immediately." Alex freezes mid-step. "Evelyn Warden wants to see me, alone?" Lisa nods solemnly. "I'll start planning your funeral." With a growing sense of dread, Alex makes her way to Evelyn's office, pausing outside the frosted glass door, gathering her courage before knocking. "Enter!" comes the crisp command from within. Evelyn Warden sits behind an immaculate white desk, her posture perfect, her dark hair sleek as a raven's wing. She doesn't speak, merely fixes Alex with a gaze so penetrating it feels like being dissected. "Bad day?" Alex attempts. "What's your angle?" Evelyn asks, her perfectly sculpted eyebrows drawing together. Alex blinks, momentarily confused. Oh, she must be talking about the Northcrest merger. The tension in her shoulders eases slightly. "Right. Well, so I checked how Marcus Northcrest signs his deals," she begins. "And turns out, I don't give a shit about Marcus Northcrest," Evelyn interrupts, a flash of genuine emotion cracking her perfect facade. "I'm talking about James." "James?" Alex squeaks, caught off guard. "Yes, James." Evelyn rises. "Don't think I haven't noticed how you're always by his side like some sort of stalker." "I'm his assistant," Alex protests. "We work together." "Work?" Evelyn's laugh is sharp. "Is that what you call it? All he ever talks about is you. Alex did this. Alex thinks that. Alex's niece is so smart for her age." "Mabel is incredibly advanced," Alex points out automatically. Evelyn continues as if she hasn't spoken. "Alex is mad at me and I don't know what I did. Did you remember to invite Alex to my birthday dinner party?" "Dinner party?" Alex's heart gives a treacherous little skip. "What dinner party?" Evelyn's eyes narrow dangerously. "I'm throwing James a birthday dinner at my apartment tomorrow night." "Oh my God," Alex says, momentarily forgetting herself in a flood of excitement. "What should I wear? What should I get him? At what time should I arrive?" "You're not invited, you daft girl," Evelyn growls. Alex stares at her, confusion replacing excitement. "But you just said—" "I said he, for an infinitesimal second, got confused into thinking you should attend a private, family-only gathering because you've been messing with his head." Evelyn's perfect composure is slipping by the second. Obviously, I reminded him of all the reasons why that isn't appropriate, and he agreed. This is no place for you. The dismissal stings more than it should. Alex feels herself deflate, an unexpected hurt blooming in her chest. Oh. Then realization dawns, family only, shifters. Of course. "Oh no, Ms. Warden, don't worry," she says quickly. "I'm used to being very careful around you guys, like, in all these months I never once touched James. In fact, I'm always careful not to let anyone touch him. You know what I mean?" She gives Evelyn a significant look. "Don't worry at all. I can handle a dinner." Evelyn's face goes suddenly, alarmingly pale. "Are all your family shifters?" Alex presses, curiosity overriding caution. "Wait, are you a shifter?" Evelyn stares at her in frozen silence. Then very quietly, "He told you?" The temperature in the room seems to drop 10 degrees. Alex realizes too late that she's made a terrible mistake. "I can't believe him," Evelyn whispers, her voice rising with each word. "Has he gone completely mad? Telling a human?" "Okay, no, but you see, he didn't actually tell me." Alex backpedals frantically. "It's more like he showed me—" "What?" "Well, remember when I said I never touch him? It's because I did once, accidentally. Alex swallows hard. And then, fur. Lots of fur. Very unexpected. Evelyn's face has transformed into a mask of pure horror, eyes wide, lips parted in shock. For the first time, Alex can see the family resemblance between the siblings, the same stunned vulnerability she once witnessed in James. "Ms. Warden, it's okay, I promise," Alex says, trying to sound reassuring. "I won't say anything. I haven't said anything for months." The office door swings open and James appears, his expression instantly alert as he takes in the scene. "What's going on?" "This girl has known about us for months," Evelyn shrieks, gesturing wildly at Alex. "And it didn't occur to you to tell me?" James pales slightly, his gaze shifting between his sister and Alex. The muscle in his jaw tightens, the only visible sign of his distress. "James, I'm sorry," Alex says quickly. "I thought she knew that I knew." "Please go," he interrupts, his voice quiet but firm. "But Alex." There's something in his eyes she's never seen before, a plea, not a command. "I need to speak with my sister." She nods, throat suddenly tight. As she slips out the door, Evelyn's voice rises behind her, words echoing down the hallway. "After everything I've done for you, for the pack, everything I sacrificed, how can you be so careless? Did I not teach you anything? You're better than this, James." Alex walks faster, chest tight. Whatever delicate balance existed in the warden-siblings relationship, she's just upended it completely. And she has no idea what the consequences might be. Chapter 7. Alex Baker isn't obsessing over James Warden's birthday. Not at all. She's simply aware that today happens to be the day he was born 35 years ago. A random fact, utterly insignificant. Which is why she's checked her phone approximately 17 times in the past hour, debating whether to send a text message consisting of 2 simple words: "Happy birthday." "This is ridiculous," she mutters, tossing her phone onto the couch. "It's just a birthday. Everyone has one, even emotionally constipated werewolf CEOs. By mid-afternoon, Alex has accomplished exactly 3 work-related tasks and drafted approximately 27 variations of birthday messages, none of which she's sent. "Thank God it's time to get Mabel," she mutters, checking her watch. With dinner made and Mabel bathed and tucked into her crib, Alex has almost managed to stop thinking about James Warden altogether. Almost. She's just settling onto the couch with a glass of wine and the remote control when there's a knock at her door. "If that's Mrs. Hernandez complaining about baby stomping again, I swear," she mutters, padding to the door in her mismatched socks. It's not Mrs. Hernandez, it's James Warden. His tie is loose, there's a flush across his cheekbones, and he wears a loopy grin so unlike his usual reserved expression that Alex can only stare. "Deal signed," he announces, waving a document in one hand. "Your idea worked. Great idea, very great." The words are slightly slurred, his precise diction blurring around the edges. "Oh my God," Alex says, realization dawning. "Are you drunk?" "Me?" He looks affronted, though the effect is somewhat undermined by his need to steady himself against the doorframe. "No, I'm fine, it's fine." Alex carefully grabs his elbow through his suit jacket. "Come inside." She guides him into her apartment, closing the door behind them. "Really great idea about signing deals to get drunk," James says, dropping onto her couch with a grunt. "I mean, getting drunk to sign deals." "Right," Alex agrees, fighting a grimace. "Though I didn't expect you to get drunk. I meant him." James groans, letting his head fall back against the cushions and closing his eyes. "Eyes open, mister." Alex snaps her fingers near his face. "You have a birthday dinner tonight, remember?" Another groan, deeper this time. Oh shit, I forgot about that. Alex blinks. Did James Warden, champion of decorum, just swear? I'll make coffee, she decides, hurrying to the kitchen. Well, now I can't go, James decides, eyes still closed. Evelyn will freak. I'm sure she'll just be happy you signed the deal, Alex calls from the kitchen. She wanted that to happen, right? It'll be fine. James snorts. No, it won't be fine, he slurs. Last time I got drunk, she got our entire pack cursed. Alex nearly drops the coffee pot. What did he just say? What did he just say? She returns to the living room with a steaming mug, only to find James looking more disheveled than ever. Okay, let's get you sobered up, birthday boy. When she extends the mug, he gives her a smile. A full, radiant grin that transforms his entire face. The coffee mug slips from her fingers, crashing to the floor. Crap! She drops to her knees, hastily gathering ceramic shards, painfully aware of his gaze on her. You know, he says softly, and when she looks up, she finds herself kneeling before him, their faces suddenly, unexpectedly close. Sometimes you look at me and your heart rate increases, like now. Alex freezes, heat creeping up her neck. You can tell when my heart rate increases? She squirms. Before she can process this alarming revelation, his phone rings. Don't answer that, Alex warns, but he's already fumbling the device from his pocket. Who's this? James slurs into the phone. Oh, Evelyn, hi. Alex winces, reaching for the phone, then remembering she needs to avoid touching his hand. Give me that, she hisses. On my way? James asks, sounding genuinely confused. On my way to where? With a swift, practiced movement, Alex plucks the phone from his hand, careful to avoid skin contact. She hung up, James announces, looking relieved. She did not, Alex sighs. I did. He gives her a blank stare as if trying to process this information. Alex groans, returning to the kitchen for a towel to clean up the spilled coffee, her mind racing. What did you mean earlier? She asks as she mops up coffee. When you said Evelyn cursed your entire pack? James's expression clouds, his usual guardedness briefly reasserting itself. Oh, no, that wasn't her fault, he says, waving a hand vaguely. She was just trying to protect us. 'Cause of me, you know. His words trail off, eyes drifting closed again. Alex winces, recognizing the signs of someone fighting a losing battle against alcohol-induced sleep. I should lie down, James mumbles. You're already lying down, she points out gently. Still, she helps him shift to a more comfortable position, the intimacy of the moment sending a rush of warmth through her chest. Happy birthday, she says softly, the words she's been struggling with all day finally escaping. James opens his eyes, his blue gaze finding hers. And then before she can react, he cradles her face in his hands and kisses her. The world stops. His lips are warm and surprisingly soft against hers, the kiss gentle but insistent. He sighs into it, a sound of such profound relief that something inside Alex breaks open. Without conscious thought, she finds herself kissing him back, her body responding instinctively to the contact she's been secretly craving for months. This is a terrible idea, her rational mind protests. He's drunk, he's your boss. He transforms when women touch him. But he's touching her now, his hands warm against her cheeks, his lips moving against hers, and nothing is happening except the slow melt of her resistance. He pulls her on top of him, strong hands guiding her until she's practically straddling his lap on the couch. Fuck it, she thinks, deepening the kiss for one more delicious moment, savoring the warmth of his mouth while closing her eyes with a wince. She braces herself for the crackle of energy she remembers from that night in his office, But when nothing happens, she opens one eye cautiously. James lies beneath her, cheeks flushed. His fingers are still loosely twined with hers, skin against skin with no fur in sight. He's fast asleep, breathing deep and even. But he's still completely, undeniably human. "What just happened?" Alex whispers, staring down at their joined hands in wonder. The only answer is James's soft, even breathing as he sleeps on, blissfully unaware of the impossibility he's just demonstrated, or the storm of questions now raging in Alex's mind. She gently disentangles her fingers from his, staring at her own hand in disbelief. Then back at James, then at her hand again. "This doesn't make any sense," she whispers, pacing around the couch where he sleeps. "We touched. We actually touched, skin to skin, and nothing happened." She runs through the possibilities. Maybe the curse only activates when he's conscious? Maybe alcohol temporarily suppresses it? But that seems too simple. Surely in 15 years of living with this condition, someone would have discovered that. Alex stops pacing, a new thought forming. She approaches the couch cautiously, studying James's sleeping form. His face is relaxed in sleep, all the usual tension gone. She reaches out tentatively, then pulls back, second-guessing herself. "This is ridiculous," she mutters. "I need to know." Taking a deep breath, she extends her finger and gently, quickly pokes his exposed wrist. Nothing happens. She tries again, this time allowing her fingertip to rest against his skin for a full second. Still nothing. No transformation, no fur, no crackling energy. "This makes no sense," she repeats, running a hand through her hair in frustration. "Why would he—" A sharp knock at the door interrupts her thoughts. Before she can even respond, the door swings open with force. Evelyn Warden stands in the doorway, immaculate as always despite the late hour, her expression thunderous. "Where is he?" she demands, scanning the apartment. Who?" Alex asks reflexively, stepping in front of the couch. Evelyn easily pushes past her. "James," she calls. "James, we need to go, now." She stops abruptly when she spots her brother passed out on the couch, his usual perfect appearance in complete disarray. Her eyes widen, then narrow dangerously as she turns to Alex. "What did you do?" she hisses. "Me?" Alex takes an instinctive step backward. "I didn't do anything. He showed up at my door already drunk. Evelyn moves to the couch, shaking her brother's shoulder roughly. "James, wake up!" "Evelyn, listen." Alex tries, taking a cautious step forward. "Something happened earlier. When James and I touched, he—" "You touched him?" Evelyn's head snaps toward Alex, and Alex gasps as the woman's eyes flash gold, pupils elongating into something decidedly inhuman. I didn't mean to," Alex stammers. "That's what I'm trying to tell you. We touched, but he didn't "Get up," Evelyn orders James, ignoring Alex completely. "We're leaving now." "Why are you yelling?" James protests, allowing himself to be pulled upright but swaying dangerously once vertical. "Everything's fine." "Fine? Do you see the state you're in?" Evelyn's voice vibrates with barely controlled fury. "On your birthday, of all nights, have you learned nothing?" "Oh, relax," James mumbles, attempting to straighten his rumpled clothes and failing spectacularly. "Let me help you get him to your car," Alex offers, reaching for James's other arm. Evelyn whirls on her, eyes still glinting with that unnatural gold. "Get away from my brother," she snarls. "You've done enough." The venom in her voice makes Alex recoil as if physically struck. "I was just trying to help." "Stay away from us," Evelyn says, each word sharp as a blade. "Stay away from him." She practically drags James toward the door, his intoxicated state making him surprisingly compliant. He only manages a confused backward glance at Alex before Evelyn pulls him out of sight. The door slams behind them with finality, leaving Alex standing alone in her suddenly too quiet apartment. Chapter 8. The email arrives at 7:47 a.m. Its innocuous subject line, department transfer, belying the punch it delivers to Alex's gut. She reads it 3 times, hoping the words might somehow rearrange themselves into something less devastating. Ms. Baker, effective immediately, you are being transferred to the marketing department as a strategy analyst. This lateral move comes with a 15% salary increase and expanded responsibilities more suited to your analytical abilities. Please report to Director Franklin on the 14th floor at your earliest convenience. Regards, James Warden, CEO, Warden Enterprises. No mention of last night. No acknowledgement of the kiss they shared. Just a cold corporate reassignment as if the past months meant nothing. Coward, she mutters, anger rising to mask the hurt blooming in her chest. This has Evelyn written all over it. The swift action, the clinical tone, the complete erasure of their relationship, both professional and whatever was developing between them. She glances at the clock. 7:53 a.m. James always arrives at exactly 7:30, reviews overnight reports until 9, then begins his morning meetings. Which means he's in his office right now, probably expecting her to quietly accept this dismissal without question. He clearly doesn't know her at all. By 8:59, Alex is standing outside his office door, pulse racing with a combination of hurt, anger, and something deeper she's not ready to name. A department director looks up in alarm. Ms. Baker, he's not accepting visitors until... Alex ignores her, pushing through the door without knocking. James glances up from his computer, expression momentarily unguarded, a flash of something like pain quickly concealed behind his usual mask of calm authority. So that's it? She demands, waving her phone with the email displayed. After everything, I get a form letter? James straightens, his posture rigid. It's not a form letter, he says. I wrote it myself. Oh, well, for the very personal touch with the regards at the end, she snaps. Really captures our working relationship. Please close the door, James says quietly. She does, but only because this conversation isn't for other ears. Marketing department? Really? She crosses her arms. At least have the decency to tell me to my face that you're getting rid of me. I'm not getting rid of you, James protests, his voice carefully controlled. This is a promotion. The position comes with better pay, more autonomy, and greater opportunity for advancement. It's actually quite perfect for someone with your analytical skills. Bullshit, Alex says flatly. This is Evelyn's idea, isn't it? Something flickers across his face, confirmation enough. We discussed it, he allows. And I agree it's for the best. You can do better than being my bodyguard. You discussed it or she ordered it? Alex challenges, stepping closer to his desk. I agree to it, James repeats, looking increasingly uncomfortable under her direct gaze. What is going on with you two? She asks, frustration mounting. Last night she almost bit my head off because you were... I apologize for that. James interrupts quickly. It was entirely my fault, and Evelyn knows that. I take full responsibility for my behavior. Alex stares at him in disbelief. Fine, okay, but why was she so upset? Don't you think she overreacted a little? It's not like you committed a crime. Alex, don't worry about it, he says, avoiding her eyes. None of this is your fault. It's mine. What does that even mean? Alex presses, sensing there's more beneath the surface. Is this about the curse? You mentioned something last night about Evelyn cursing your pack because of you. James is silent for a long moment, his internal struggle visible in the tightening of his jaw, the slight furrow between his brows. Finally, he sighs. 15 years ago, he begins reluctantly, I had too much to drink at a pack celebration. I was young, reckless. I had an encounter with another pack member. I don't even remember most of it. Alex blinks, waiting for the rest. Some big revelation that would explain Evelyn's extreme reaction, the curse, the 15 years of isolation. And, she prompts when he doesn't continue. And Evelyn had to clean up my mess, James says, his voice hollow. She went to a wish granter named Adrian to protect the pack, to protect me from my own weakness. She thought she was helping us, but that magician tricked her, and here we are, because of my mistake. Alex stares at him. Wait, that's it? You hook up at a party, and for that, your sister cursed your entire pack for 15 years? She asks, shaking her head in disbelief. You don't understand pack dynamics, James says stiffly. Then help me understand, Alex challenges, because from where I'm standing, this seems like a massive overreaction. She pauses. A massive overreaction, unless... Wait, James, was the encounter non-consensual? She asks. What? No. James looks genuinely shocked at the suggestion. Nothing like that. We knew each other, liked each other even. It was just... I was drunk. She wasn't. That made me vulnerable. Being vulnerable isn't a crime, James, Alex says gently. It's part of being human. I'm not human, he reminds her quietly. You know what I mean. She runs a hand through her hair in frustration. I just don't understand why Evelyn would go to such extremes. Why curse the entire pack just because you had a drunken hookup? Because she was trying to protect me, James insists. To protect all of us. Keep us safe. Safe from what? Alex presses. You don't understand. James shakes his head. You're not one of us. Then explain it to me. James stands abruptly, turning to face the window. This conversation is over, Ms. Baker. Please report to Director Franklin to begin your new... The curse doesn't work the way you think it does, Alex interrupts, feeling a surge of desperation. James turns back to her, expression guarded. What? Last night, she says, taking a tentative step toward him. You touched me, skin to skin, and nothing happened. You didn't transform. James' eyes widen with shock. Don't you remember? Alex insists, heart leaping in her throat. Well, you kissed me. A flush creeps up James's neck, spreading across his cheekbones. He doesn't remember, Alex realizes, heart sinking. The kiss that had consumed her thoughts all night, that had felt like the beginning of something, meant so little to him he couldn't even remember it. She struggles to keep her expression neutral, but something must show in her eyes because James's face softens. Alex, it doesn't matter, she interrupts, hating the slight tremor in her voice. The point is, we touched and you stayed human, completely human, which means there's something different about the curse, or about me, or... Evelyn was right, James interrupts, his voice strangely distant as he takes a deliberate step away from her. You have feelings for me. It's not a question, but an accusation. His expression a complex mixture of fear and something that might almost be hope before shuttering closed again. What does that have to do with anything? Alex manages, her heart hammering against her ribs. Do you? James presses, his blue eyes studying her with an intensity that makes her want to look away. But there's something beneath the question, a rawness that keeps her rooted in place. "You're the one who kissed me," she deflects. James flinches, guilt flashing across his features. "It doesn't matter what either of us might." He stops, takes a breath. "You should go." "Why?" Alex demands, anger flaring to cover her hurt. "Why are you being like this? Why do you insist on pushing me away when it's obvious there's something—" "Because what's the point?" He bursts out, his perfect control cracking completely. "What's the point of these feelings if I—" His voice breaks, gesturing helplessly between them. I can't even touch you, Alex. What kind of future is that for us?" The naked vulnerability in his voice, the pain in his eyes, it's the most honest he's ever been with her. And in that moment, Alex realizes with startling clarity that he feels the same way she does. And hope flares in her chest. "But that's what I'm trying to tell you," she insists. "You did touch me, and nothing—" "Enough!" The sharpness in his voice silences her. "Please, Alex. It was difficult enough to get Evelyn to agree to this arrangement." "Why do you keep listening to her?" Alex asks, genuine bewilderment in her voice. "You're letting her fear control you. You've turned your guilt into a prison." Acting on impulse, she closes the distance between them, placing her hand directly on his exposed wrist. James stares, shock and betrayal written across his face. Then the air seems to crackle with energy, and before Alex can step back, he transforms. Where James stood seconds ago, the massive timber wolf now crouches. "Shit," Alex whispers, taking a step back. "I don't understand." The wolf, James, backs away from her, ears flat against his head, a low whine escaping his throat. "James, I'm sorry," she says. "I really thought—" He snarls suddenly, the sound making her jump. It's not aggressive exactly, but clearly a dismissal. Alex retreats another step. "I'll go," she whispers, turning toward the door. "I'm sorry." The last thing she sees before closing the door is James in wolf form, sitting amid the ruins of his torn clothing, looking more alone than any creature she's ever seen. Chapter 9. A month feels like a year when you're heartbroken. Alex lies on the couch, cocooned in a blanket despite the summer heat, spoon in hand and halfway through her second pint of ice cream. "This is pathetic," she tells the ceiling. "You're pathetic." The ceiling, like James Warden, says nothing. "I've brought reinforcements," Walsey announces, entering with groceries in one arm and Mabel on his hip. "Fresh veggies, protein, and the world's most adorable baby." "Thanks," Alex says, trying to hide the ice cream under the blanket and watching Mabel stack blocks in perfect rainbow order. "How is she more functional than I am?" "Low bar," Walsey says, plopping beside her. "Come on, he wasn't even that great. You said so yourself, he was boring." Alex sighs, unable to explain that beneath James Warden's supposedly boring exterior was a man who could transform into a wolf, who carried a 15-year curse, who kissed like he'd been starving for it, and who looked at her sometimes like she was the answer to a question he'd been afraid to ask. "He had his moments," she says instead. "He laughed at my jokes, Walsey." "Damn." Walsey looks genuinely surprised. "No one laughs at your jokes. Your jokes are lame." "I know," Alex whines, burying her face in a cushion. Walsey pats her head awkwardly. There. Other fish in the sea. Probably less uptight fish who don't have scary sisters." Alex emerges from the cushion, pulling her knees to her chest. "The thing is, I don't understand how everything could go so wrong. It feels like the only reason we're apart is his sister." "And James's curse," she doesn't add, "and his guilt." "Yeah, the sister sounds like a piece of work," Walsey agrees. "Maybe you're better off without her as your extended family, you know what I mean?" Yeah, maybe, Alex says, thinking of Evelyn's golden eyes, her barely contained fury. I thought she was going to kill me when she showed up here and James was passed out on my couch. You should have seen her. She went all white and she was shaking. Honestly, she sounds a bit like your mom, Walsey grunts. Remember when she wouldn't even let you come out with me to the cinema because she thought for sure I was going to grope you? Yeah, she was controlling, Alex sighs. That was before Jenna made her go to therapy. She stops abruptly, a long-buried memory surfacing. Jenna, 17 and fiery, screaming at their mother in the kitchen while 13-year-old Alex huddled on the stairs, listening. I'm just going to the store. It's 5 minutes down the street, Jenna had yelled, frustration evident in every syllable. Not alone, you're not. Their mother's voice had been sharp with fear disguised as anger. Wait until your father... I don't need Dad to hold my hand while I buy shampoo. For crying out loud, Mom, it's the middle of the day. It's safe. No one's going to hurt. You've gone quiet, Walsey observes, interrupting her thoughts. You want your ice cream back? Yeah, Alex says distractedly, barely registering his words. She has the uncomfortable feeling that won't go away, a parallel she hadn't noticed until now. Years later, Jenna had explained their mother's behavior, how she'd been mugged walking home from work, how the trauma had manifested as paranoia and controlling behavior, how she'd become convinced the same thing would happen to her daughters if she didn't protect them. The fear, the need for control, the desperate protection that became a prison. Stay away from him! Evelyn's voice echoes in her memory, the woman's hand gripping James's arm with desperate strength. Something clicks into place in Alex's mind. Evelyn's extreme reaction to James's drunken hookup, her insistence on protection, the sacrifice that transferred alpha status from her to James. What if something happened to Evelyn? Something traumatic that made her seek magical protection, not just for James, but for herself? Earth to Alex. Walsey waves a hand in front of her face. You still in there? Yeah, she says, mind racing, just thinking. Dangerous hobby, he quips, handing her back the ice cream container with a sigh of defeat. Want to talk about it? Alex shakes her head. No, it's nothing. And maybe that's the truth. Maybe these connections, these theories about Evelyn's behavior don't matter anymore. It's been a month. James hasn't called, hasn't emailed, hasn't made any attempt to reach out. Some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. Some connections, once broken, stay that way. It's time to accept that and move on, even if she doesn't know how. Chapter 10. Alex stares at the meeting invitation, her stomach twisting. Quarterly marketing review. All department heads and analysts required. Required, no avoiding it without risking her job. For a month, she's maneuvered through Warden Enterprises without crossing paths with James, dodging elevators, eating at odd hours, volunteering off-site, anything to avoid pretending her heart isn't still in pieces. Now this, a meeting she can't escape. She spends the morning in a haze of panic, mentally mapping escape routes from the 14th floor conference room. This is ridiculous, she mutters in the bathroom mirror. He's just a man, just your former boss, just the person who kissed you, ghosted you, then fired you. No big deal. Her reflection offers nothing but dark circles and trembling hands. By the time she enters the conference room, she's a bundle of nerves in a professional pantsuit. She scans the room, heart racing. Maybe James is absent. Maybe something, anything, spared her. She feels him before she sees him. A prickle at her neck, a shift in the air. Don't look. She grabs a seat in the far corner, arranging her materials with shaking hands. Her heart pounds loud enough to echo. She remembers his drunken confession. You know, sometimes you look at me and your heart rate increases. Like now. Can you hear it now? Can you tell? The meeting begins. Director Franklin runs through achievements. She tries to focus, to treat this like any other review, but the pull from the head of the table is unbearable. Then James speaks. I'd like to hear from the marketing analyst who developed the Eastern Region strategy. Ms. Baker, could you share your insights? The room goes still. Franklin turns to her. Yes, Alex? Her legs barely respond as she rises. She can do this. She will do this. Eyes on the back wall, she walks through the data, analysis, trends, projections. Not once does she look at James. She finishes, sits down, breathe, almost there. I have a question, Ms. Baker. She freezes, her pen clenched so tightly her knuckles ache. Ms. Baker? He repeats. Yes, I heard you, she snaps, eyes on her notebook. Ask away. Gasps ripple through the room. Franklin stares in horror. James doesn't react. Your analysis suggests a 22% growth in suburban markets, but historical data caps at 15%. How do you account for the discrepancy? She almost laughs. After all that, this is what he wants to discuss? As I clearly stated in my presentation, she replies, voice sharp, the new transportation infrastructure changes the accessibility metrics. Page 4 explains the 7.3% shift. She knows her tone is off, knows she's being too sharp. She doesn't care. Ms. Baker? What? Could you look at me while you're speaking to me, please? The room falls silent. Slowly, she looks up. James looks awful, pale, tense. His eyes, once warm and teasing, are shadowed yet still piercing. The pain she sees there unravels her. Tears blur her vision before she can stop them. Alex? The concern in his voice undoes her. Excuse me, she chokes out. I don't feel well. She grabs her materials and bolts, down the hallway, into the stairwell. 2 flights down, her legs give out and she collapses on the steps. Stupid, she whispers, scrubbing at her cheeks. So stupid. A single look, and she's falling apart. The stairwell door creaks. Alex? James. She stumbles blindly down the hall. The elevators are full. Footsteps close behind. Alex? She veers for the service elevator, ducking under the caution tape and pounding the button. Alex, wait, he calls. The doors open. She slips inside and hits the lobby button. Just as the doors close, James rounds the corner. Alex, don't. That elevator is... The doors shut. At first, nothing. Then a jolt. The car drops too fast, then slams to a stop. The lights flicker. No, 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 she whispers, hitting the emergency button. Nothing. Another groan. A second drop. She's thrown to the floor. Help! She screams, pounding the doors. Alex, can you hear me? James, she cries. The elevator's stuck. Are you hurt? No, but the elevator groans again. James, I think it's going to fall. Shouts from above, words like cable failure and override. Alex, listen to me, James says. Stay completely still. What does that mean? The car drops again. She screams. Alex! James, get me out of here! I'm coming down. What? No, you can't. But she hears him moving. Minutes pass. Then a section of the ceiling opens and his face appears. I'm going to get you out, he says. Climb up. I can't, she whispers. You can. I won't let you fall. She reaches, but it's too far. She tries to jump, misses, collapses. Then James drops into the elevator. What are you doing? She gasps. I'm getting you out, both of us. He crouches, laces his fingers. Step here, I'll boost you. She obeys. He lifts her. She scrambles through the opening and grabs a cable mount, clinging to it as James follows. Now what? Now I carry you. Before she can argue, he pulls her close. Hold on, tight. He crouches down, interlacing his fingers to make a step with his hands. I'll boost you up. Once you're through, hold onto the cable mount on the left while I climb up. But, Alex? His eyes lock with hers, blue and fierce. Trust me. Another metallic groan, more ominous than before. There's no time to argue. Following his instructions, she clings to a metal fixture on the side of the shaft, heart pounding as she watches James pull himself up through the opening with athletic grace. Now what? She asks, voice small in the cavernous shaft. Now I carry you out. Before she can protest, he moves to her side of the shaft, one arm securely around her waist. Hold on to me, tight. She wraps her arms around his neck, her body pressed against his. In any other circumstance, she would be acutely aware of the intimacy of their position. Now she only feels relief at his solid strength. Ready? He asks, his breath warm against her ear. She nods, unable to speak. With methodical precision, James begins to climb the shaft, using maintenance rungs embedded in the wall. His breathing is steady, controlled, despite the obvious physical strain. Alex clings to him, face pressed against his neck, trying not to think about the drop below them. When they finally reach the open doors where maintenance personnel wait to help them out, Alex is trembling uncontrollably. Are you okay? James asks, cradling her face in his hands, searching her eyes with frantic concern. Are you hurt anywhere? She shakes her head. What were you thinking, Alex? His voice breaks with emotion. Getting into that elevator? You could have been killed, do you realize? He cuts himself off, pulling her against his chest again, his heart thundering against her ear. I almost lost you, he whispers, the words raw with pain. It's then that reality cuts through her adrenaline haze. You're touching me, she says, pulling back to look at his face. James blinks, confusion replacing fear. Yes? See? I told you. The words tumble out in a rush. I told you you could... She doesn't finish. James's mouth crashes down on hers. Alex responds instinctively, her body melting against his, all the longing she suppressed for a month pouring into the connection. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, she's vaguely aware of an audience, maintenance workers, security personnel, curious employees gathered at the commotion. She doesn't care. I'm still mad at you, she declares, even as her hands clutch at his lapels. I know, James says, a smile breaking through his intensity. Then he's kissing her again, as if he can't help himself, as if now that he's allowed to touch her, he can't stop. I'm so sorry, he murmurs against her mouth between kisses. Her fingers find the nape of his neck, threading through his hair, and he shudders at the contact, a small sound escaping him that makes her realize just how touch-starved he must be after 15 years of isolation. What is going on here? The sharp voice cuts through their bubble like a blade. They break apart to find Evelyn Warden standing at the edge of the gathered crowd, her expression a mixture of shock and fury. Chapter 11. Evelyn's gaze flicks between them, then to the maintenance workers and curious onlookers. Everyone out, she commands, her voice leaving no room for argument. Now. The authority in her tone has immediate effect. The crowd disperses rapidly, Maintenance workers muttering about checking the elevator systems, office staff suddenly remembering urgent tasks elsewhere. Once they're alone in the hallway, Evelyn turns her full attention to them, her elegant composure barely containing visible rage. "Get away from him," she orders Alex, each word sharp as ice. In response, James tightens his arm around Alex's waist, drawing her closer against his side. No. The single word, quiet but firm, seems to shock Evelyn more than the sight of them kissing had. "What are you doing?" she hisses. "Let her go. You'll change." "I kissed her, Evelyn," James says, his voice steady. "I've been touching her for the past 15 minutes, and I didn't transform." "You kissed her?" Evelyn's voice rises incredulously. "Are you insane? After everything?" "I think I'm allowed to kiss the woman I love," James interrupts. Alex goes still against him, her breath catching. "The woman you love?" she whispers. Meanwhile, Evelyn continues as if she hasn't heard. "There were people, James. They could have seen. How could you be so reckless?" "Excuse me," Alex interjects, her heartbeat thundering in her ears. "But can we go back to the part where he said he loved me? We all heard that, right?" James looks down at her, a smile breaking through his serious expression, his eyes warm with something she's been too afraid to name until now. The look makes her knees weak, her anger from the past month dissolving like mist in sunlight. "Oh, for crying out loud," Evelyn snaps. "Of course he loves you. He's been absolutely miserable for a month, moping around like some lovesick teenager. That isn't the point." "Then what is the point?" James asks, turning back to his sister. "For some reason, Alex and I can touch. Nobody saw anything unusual, and it appears the curse doesn't affect me with her." He gestures vaguely toward Evelyn, exasperation evident. "Shouldn't you be relieved instead of—" "The curse can't be broken!" Evelyn's perfect composure fractures, her voice rising with an edge of panic. "There are no takebacks. The magician was very clear about the terms." Alex watches the exchange with growing suspicion. "It looks like you don't want the curse to be broken," she observes quietly. Evelyn tenses. "What are you talking about?" she asks. "Well, do you?" Alex challenges. "Are you happy we can do this?" She deliberately turns to James, pressing a soft kiss to his cheek, threading her fingers through his. James visibly melts at the contact, his eyes fluttering closed for a brief moment. "Get away from my brother," Evelyn cries, the words tearing from her throat with unexpected violence. "You don't want me to touch him," Alex states, not a question but a realization. "You're afraid. Why?" Evelyn shakes her head, arms coming up to hug herself in a defensive posture. "The curse," she begins weakly. "He could change. People could see." "There's no one around, Evelyn," James says, frustration edging his voice. "He wants me to touch him," Alex says softly, the pieces finally clicking into place. "That's why he isn't changing. Because he wants me to touch him." James looks down at her, confusion creasing his brow. "I don't understand. It's not like I ever wanted to be changed when touched." "No," Alex agrees. "But you were afraid, and because you were afraid, you didn't actually want to be touched." James frowns. "You cursed him and your pack for protection," Alex says softly, turning back to Evelyn. It's not an accusation, but a statement of understanding. Evelyn nods furiously, tears welling in her eyes. "What happened to you?" Alex asks gently. Evelyn goes completely still. "Something happened." Alex holds Evelyn's gaze, seeing the fear there, the old pain. "Something bad. You weren't just trying to protect everyone. You were trying to protect yourself." because you were scared. That's not true, Evelyn protests, but the words sound hollow. I was just trying to help. You wanted everyone to be safe from harm because you weren't safe. Alex finishes for her. Because something happened to you. Evelyn's face crumples. The elegant mask she's worn for 15 years finally breaking completely. James takes a step toward his sister, his expression shifting from confusion to dawning horror. Evelyn? He asks softly. Did something happen to you? The gentleness in his voice seems to break something loose in Evelyn. A sob escapes her, then another, her hand coming up to cover her mouth as if to physically hold back the truth she's kept buried for so long. It was at the regional council meeting, she says finally, her voice barely above a whisper. Matheson, the Northern Pack Alpha, he wanted to merge our packs. I refused him. James goes completely still, his face draining of color. He put something in my drink. Evelyn says, not meeting his eyes. I don't remember everything, just fragments. Waking up, the pain, his weight. She stops, a shudder running through her slender frame. Evelyn, James whispers, horrified. Why didn't you tell me? Tell you what? She asks bitterly. That your sister, your Alpha, was weak? That I couldn't protect myself? What good would that have done? I could have helped you, James says, his voice breaking. We could have... I handled it. Evelyn interrupts sharply. I made sure he lost everything without anyone knowing why. But then, when you got drunk at the pack celebration, she continues, I saw history repeating itself. Evelyn wraps her arms tighter around herself. You were so vulnerable. Anyone could have taken advantage. I couldn't bear the thought of that happening to you. So you went to the magician, Alex says softly, understanding fully now. I asked for protection. Evelyn confirms, her voice hollow. I wanted us all to be safe from unwanted touch. He warned there would be a price, but I didn't care. And the price was your Alpha status, James whispers, the truth of the past 15 years rewriting itself in his mind. It transferred to me. That was the price, Evelyn says bitterly. And the curse it was, I didn't think it would be so extreme. Instead of protection from unwanted touch, he made all touch impossible. But you let me believe it was my fault, James says, his voice thick with emotion. All these years I thought I'd caused this, that you sacrificed everything because I was reckless. I wasn't trying to punish you, James, Evelyn presses, years of repressed truth pouring out. I just wanted to make sure no one could ever hurt either of us again. If no one could touch us, no one could harm us. James takes a step toward his sister, his face a mask of grief and regret. Evelyn, I would have protected you, helped you. You didn't have to carry this alone. I was supposed to protect you, Evelyn whispers, the words breaking on a sob. I was the Alpha, your big sister. I failed. No, James says quietly. You survived. Evelyn looks up at him, tears streaming down her face, all pretense of control abandoned. For the first time, Alex sees her clearly. Not as the intimidating, controlling sister, but as a woman who has carried an unbearable burden alone for far too long. I'm so sorry, James, Evelyn whispers. I thought I was protecting you. I know, he says gently, but I don't need protection anymore, Evelyn, and neither do you. In the silence that follows, Alex feels the weight of 15 years of secrets, of guilt, of misunderstanding finally breaking free. Whatever happens next, nothing between the Warden siblings will ever be the same. Epilogue. Do you think this will work? James asks quietly, his voice barely audible above the gentle hum of the air conditioning. Alex follows his gaze through the window to her mother's sunlit garden, where Evelyn sits on a wrought iron bench beside Mrs. Baker. My mom will get it, Alex says, leaning against James's side. She went through something similar and got help. Now she's better. She can reach her. They watch in silence as Mrs. Baker nods, her expression thoughtful and empathetic. Then she says something that makes Evelyn's perfect composure finally crumble. The elegant woman who has intimidated executives and PAC members alike for 15 years suddenly breaks, her shoulders shaking with sobs. Without hesitation, Mrs. Baker pulls Evelyn into a tight embrace, one hand stroking her hair soothingly. There, they can faintly hear through the window. It's okay now. Sometimes you just need a hug, Alex concludes softly, turning to press her face against James's chest, his heartbeat steady and reassuring beneath her ear. After Evelyn's revelation, they searched for the wish-granter who had cursed the Warden Pack 15 years ago, seeking clarity. The trail led them through obscure occult bookshops, secretive supernatural communities, and finally to a small, unassuming storefront. Are we sure this is the place? Alex observes, peering through the dusty window at what appears to be an ordinary used bookstore. James nods, checking the address on his iPhone. The shop looks perfectly normal at first glance. Rows of bookshelves, the familiar scent of old paper, a few comfortable reading chairs in the corners. But as Alex's eyes adjust to the dim lighting, she feels James tensing beside her. Stand behind me, he suddenly says, stepping in front of her. What? Why? Behind the counter stands a young woman with strawberry blonde hair and startlingly clear blue eyes is looking at them. She looks perfectly ordinary, no more than 28, but James is practically snarling at her. This girl, James mutters. There's a darkness about her. She has magic. The blonde tilts her head in annoyance. I can hear you, Shifter, she snaps. Is there a reason you're here, or are you just planning to stand there and growl at me? We're looking for an Adrian, Alex cuts in, peeking from behind James. Do you know him? Something flickers in the woman's eyes, a shadow of emotion quickly suppressed. He isn't here, she says, closing the book with deliberate care. I'm Iris. Do you know when he'll be back? Alex insists. He cast a curse on James here and his pack, and he will not be coming back, Iris interrupts. Her hands are steady, but Alex notices a certain tension in her shoulders. Perhaps I can help, the witch sighs. We need to understand the curse he placed on our pack, James explains, tension evident in his posture. Iris have them sit on a couch and squints at them, easily deducing whatever traces of magic are still working on James. The mechanics of the curse are exactly as you suspected, Iris explains, her hair catching the lights. Only unwanted touch triggers the transformation, but fear and paranoia had made every touch unwanted. Alex squeezes James's hand, a silent gesture of support. So the curse can be broken? She asks, hope evident in her voice. Iris's sharp eyes study them both. Since he who granted the wish is no longer present, the curse can be lifted if the wisher, your sister Evelyn, no longer desires its protection. But will she get her alpha status back? James asks, the words heavy with implication. The price is paid, Iris says. That cannot be undone. Alex leans forward, curiosity piqued. But perhaps if we could speak to he who granted the wish in the first place, as you said. Something flickers in Iris's youthful eyes. Pain, perhaps, quickly masked by professional detachment. I told you, she says simply, he's gone. The finality in her tone suggests this line of questioning is closed. but Alex can't help wondering what lies behind the witch's cryptic answer, and what happens to wish granters who twist desires into curses. At least they have their answer. The curse can be broken, not through magic spells or dramatic rituals, but through the slower, harder work of healing from trauma. "I heard from Evelyn today," James says, his free hand moving to stroke Alex's hair, a touch so natural now she barely notices. Her therapist thinks she's making real progress. "That's wonderful," Alex says sincerely. She's talking about stepping back from the company for a while, taking some time to focus on herself. Alex looks up, surprised. "Really? That doesn't sound like the Evelyn I met." "She's changing," James says simply. "We all are." And it's true. The curse still technically exists. Pack members still transform when touched by those they fear or distrust, but understanding its mechanics has changed everything. They're working on it daily, learning to welcome touch again, to distinguish between real threats and phantom fears. For James and Alex, the curse hasn't affected their relationship since that day in the elevator. Whatever obstacles remain, fear of touch isn't one of them. What Alex has noticed, however, is James's constant need for contact, the way he gravitates toward her in every room, how his hand finds hers under tables, how he reaches for her in sleep with unconscious certainty. He never asks, never demands, but she sees the need in him, raw and vulnerable. She gives freely what he cannot bring himself to request: casual touches, embraces, the simple human connection denied him for so long. And in return, she receives a love so deep and certain it sometimes takes her breath away. "You're staring again," James observes, looking up from his book to find Alex watching him from her side of the bed. "Just admiring the view," she replies with a grin. "CEO by day, baby whisperer by night. Very sexy combination." He rolls his eyes, but the pleased smile tugging at his lips betrays him. Setting his book aside, he shifts closer, one arm wrapping around her waist to pull her against him. "I'm sorry," he says suddenly, voice soft in the dim light. "For what? Monopolizing my niece? She adores you, so I'll allow it." "For hurting you," he clarifies, his expression turning serious. "For pushing you away when I discovered we could touch. For not fighting for us sooner. For wasting an entire month we could have had together." Alex sighs, tracing the line of his jaw with gentle fingers. "That's true," she acknowledges. "But you did risk your life to rescue me from that elevator, so you wouldn't have been in there if it wasn't for me," he counters, capturing her hand and pressing a kiss to her palm. "I never want to hurt you again, Alex. If you let me from now on, I'll make you happy." The sincerity in his voice, the vulnerability in his eyes, it still amazes her how completely he's opened himself to her. This man who once kept everyone at arm's length. "You already make me happy," she whispers, leaning in to press her lips to his. The kiss deepens naturally, James pulling her closer with a soft sound of contentment. When they break apart, his eyes remain closed for a moment, as if savoring the sensation. "Besides," she adds with a mischievous smile, "I'm told I'm very good for your heart rate." His eyes snap open, amusement and desire darkening the blue. "Is that so?" "Mm-hmm. Enhanced senses, remember? I can tell when your heart rate increases." She mimics his drunken confession from months ago, delighting in the flush that spreads across his cheeks. "You're never going to let me forget that, are you?" "Not a chance, Wolfie." He groans at the nickname, but there's no real irritation behind it. Instead, he pulls her close again, his forehead resting against hers. "I love you," he whispers, the words still new enough to send a thrill through her. I love you too, she replies, the simple truth of it filling her chest with warmth. Whatever challenges they still face, the remaining effects of the curse, Evelyn's ongoing recovery, seem manageable in this moment because they'll face them together. Just a woman who never backs down from a challenge, a man learning to be vulnerable again, and the transformative power of love in all its forms, healing, protective, and enduring. Plus an adorable baby who's turning the fearsome CEO into a complete softie. But that's a story for another day. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed the story, consider giving it a like and leave a comment. It really helps. I'm also trying to figure out the perfect length for these stories, so let me know. Do you prefer episodes that are under an hour, closer to an hour, or a bit longer? Your feedback really helps me shape the next ones.